Friends, with my respects to my revered Guru, who is in Madras, aged about 96, who introduced me to this art about 50 years ago, and to sage Patanjali, the father of yoga, medicine and grammar. Whatever I present and whatever words I express, the credit and merit of that goes to my Guru and to sage Patanjali, and whatever you see me, the mistakes, that's mine. Yoga, the word, though appears very easy to pronounce, but very difficult to penetrate the depth of its meaning. Wherever we touch, it conveys, like the rays of the sun, which may be in millions, the same subject gives varies of light in various directions to get the essence of this one of the noblest art of our civilization. Though many of you are well acquainted with this art, as I see, yoga, according to Patanjali, is chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta is the consciousness which vibrates, whether it may move in our thoughts or not, but it would be vibrating. To entirely still that vibration of the consciousness and to bring to a state of silence after that stillness is yoga, according to Patanjali. And according to the Vedas, to bring the individual soul in contact with the universal spirit is another meaning. According to Gita, a skillful action, a talented presentation of anything is yoga, or balancing the various regions, frontiers of the body, of the mind, of the consciousness, of the very being, like the water, which is even on the surface of a lake, though there are many dents at the bottom. Similarly, in this lake of the human body, there are several dents, and in those dents, yet, is it possible to spread the flow of consciousness evenly? And that is yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate. And Patanjali somewhere also says the same thing in a different word, chitta prasadanam. How to diffuse the consciousness and the intelligence to spread in the system without any interruption is the art of yoga. Patanjali, the father of yoga, discusses the philosophy of sorrows. the physical sorrows, the mental sorrows, and the spiritual sorrows. And he deals them in the second chapter, which many of us do not go first, but we read the most intricate part and we lose the link of his thoughts. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, want of spiritual wisdom, seeing through the organs of perception, the mind and intellect, and thinking that is through the soul. These two are known as the intellectual defects of a human being. Then he goes to the sorrows of the emotional side, that pleasures attract desires and they multiply and they bring unhappiness, though they appear pleasureful for the time being. And if the pleasures are not satisfied, he says they lead to sorrows. They are known as emotional imbalances, and the instinctive fear of death, life and death, which he says has to be learned through understanding, observing the mind, observing the brain, observing the very self, so that the defects of intelligence of the head and the defects of the intelligence of the heart and the instinctive fear is transformed into intuitive knowledge is the essence of yoga. And through these philosophies of sorrows, he says the mind moves in various directions, it fluctuates due to these sorrows. When they fluctuate, in those fluctuations, the impediments for health and happiness comes in the form of diseases, languor, sluggishness, and so on and so forth, along with heaviness of the body, tremor of the body, heaviness of the breath, and so on and so forth. So giving the reason, analyzing the sorrows, then he analyzes how to reach that state of unalloyed, blissful happiness which can be maintained eternally in each individual. He says that the inner being which comes in contact with the external observations are the causes of unhappiness. If a wise man learns how to keep away, not the art of renunciation, but to see things as a witness, using the very same vehicles of the soul, the organs of action, organs of perception, the mind, the intelligence, the consciousness, so that they serve the being, the very core of our being, but not to make the core of being as the servant of these organs. And when that is reached, then one can experience, Patanjali uses in different places, the river of tranquility and the essence of being flowing in each and every cell, so that there is no pleasure attached with pain, but the pleasure as ever pleasureful. and having experienced the essence of the stream of the being flowing in each cell, he feels life and death as the two sides of the coin and loses the fear of death and lives in the eternal being. And that is what the science and art of yoga teaches us, to reach the zenith of the growth of each individual, to experience the absolute freedom, absolute beatitude, without any divisions, as an indivisible, single state of existence where one loses the difference or the polarities between body, mind, and soul. When all these three are mingled together, then the entire man appears as a single universal personality. And that's what this greatest art teaches you. I know that many of you are keen to see what I do more than the words. Since the convention commenced, I have spoken probably for several hours than anybody. So naturally, as an artist on the platform, as a performer, I have to curtail the words and present my practice so that through direct perception you can receive what this body can do. This human machine, which can stand any type of pollutions and which has accepted all pollution and still we're all surviving, has hundreds of muscles, hundreds of joints, miles and miles of nerve current flowing, and miles of blood current gushing the entire system moment to moment. All these yogic postures, how they make the entire human system with the two ventilators, the respiratory and the circulatory system, keeps the entire other systems to function harmoniously, understanding with each other without voice, communicating to each part, so that each cell appears as a true self for the practitioner. And that is how the yoga practices have to be done. And yoga is like an ocean. My presentation is just a drop of that ocean. And whatever little I present, I hope those who are practicing will correct themselves, and those who have not started or ignited to take to this art, because there is no other art, there is no other science in this world which can give that perfect health, perfect happiness. 2-3 minutes I will speak, then I go. This yoga has 8 aspects called yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. And these 8 aspects of yoga put together, used by a technical word known as Kriya Yoga. Do not mistake some of the books where you find Kriya Yoga. Only Patanjali says that what he is teaching is nothing but Kriya Yoga. We are made up of hands and legs, intelligence and emotion. So these 3 are known as karma, bhakti and jnana. All these 8 aspects of this Kriya Yoga are nothing but the steps for the path of action, path of knowledge, path of love. If one is less, the other cannot come at all. And they help, these practices help to increase the caliber of intelligence by destroying the impurities of the body and mind, so that the crown of wisdom radiates in each individual to be friendly and compassionate to himself, to his neighbors, and to his society. That is what this art teaches. Now, before I start presenting the postures, I know this City Davies Hall is meant for concerts. Music is soothing to the nerves. But the yoga is also the music for the body and the soul. So as such, I think it is 100% valid to present yoga here too. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika they say that the mind is the king of the senses and the breath is the king of the mind. And if the nervous system, which is about 6,000 miles in our system, had a rhythmic vibration, then that rhythmic vibration of the nerves becomes the king of the breath. So as such, I will show you the inhalation and exhalation to experience the rhythm of that sound of breath. That is inhalation. Did you observe the beauty of that sound? So also exhalation. How you have to, as you are inhaling, how the cells have to very gradually open out to receive the intake of the breath. How the breath has to be released from the cells is the art of breath. Not inhaling, saying I'm doing a deep inhalation. This is a muscular breath. Similarly, inhalation, retention, you can see. Without any strain anywhere, without tensing. I can go on. Just to give you an idea, I'm showing, otherwise a big subject, that alone will take 3-4 hours if I explain deeply into that. The best of all music is silence. So that's why I showed the vibration of inhalation and exhalation in the form of sound, and the vibration of breath without any movement, known as stillness and silence. Not only the stillness and silence in the body, but also stillness and silence in the mind. And that still and silent state is the state of present. So as long as one can live moment to moment without getting involved with the movement, but observing the movement moment to moment, each individual will experience at least the spark of divinity in those movements. That's, of course, the pranayamas are various methods, but the hall is rented for only 2 hours. So I have to be within those 2 hours. So now, with this movement, so when we are inhaling and exhaling, as I said, that the ventilators of the entire system being the respiratory system, which supplies the energy to the other subsidiary systems. So the most important key for health is the art of using the respiratory system to derive the maximum benefit from the nuclear energy which is in this atmospheric air to take in, so that each and every cell is fed with the nuclear energy in our system. Both of you. Tadasana. Tada means tree. Tada means stone. Tada means firmness. So when we have to standing, it's not question of standing alone, but I have to feel the texture of the carpet, how it is sending message to my brain, which fiber of that carpet is giving me room to adapt, which part of my cell is pressing the fiber of the wool. From there one has to learn. That is, as I said, diffusing the intelligence of the brain so that it spreads to the bottom of the feet, so that the intelligence on the bottom of the foot to the head is kept as a single intelligence without any break. And that is known as Chitta Vritti Nirodha, even Tadasana. Not sitting in a corner, gazing at a candle that I am keeping quiet, but to feel the intelligence running from the bottom skin of the foot to the crown of the head with perfect adjustment. Now Trikonasana, or the triangular pose. As I am turning this side, so one intelligence is moving this way. This intelligence of the foot is facing this way. This intelligence of the hand is facing that way. And this intelligence is moving this way to move to the south. So you can see that the same single intelligence in each asana, how it has to be directed in various directions. East, west, north, moving that leg from the west to the north for the north hand to go to the south. Keeping each and every point in mind. This is the triangle. 1, 2, and 3. That is why it's called Trikonasana. In that position, how I pump my intelligence to feel the surface. You can see at the back frontier of my leg, how my intelligence is stretched to reach the skin. That is Trikonasana. So as I present in different various shapes, you have to adapt your intelligence as you decorate your house, interior decorations of the house. So also each asana is an interior decoration of the entire system in various ways, so that the being can enjoy freely to move from one direction to the other direction. I'm showing one side just to save time, but it has to be done on both the sides. Parshva Konasana, or the plank angular pose. Now when we are bending, we have to adjust. I have to form a perfect square. This is one entity. That is different entity. This is different entity. So each and every organ has to be harmoniously adjusted when doing. That leg is moving backward. This hand is moving forward. And the other arm is stretching vertically up. This is horizontally moving forward. The leg is moving horizontally backward. You can see the stretch. Virabhadrasana. Each has a name. Parivritta Trikonasana, or the revolving triangular pose. You can see The front leg is facing that way, front chest is facing this way. That is why it's called the revolving triangular pose. Parivritta Parshva Konasana. This is automatic massage. My leg is massaging my abdomen without depending on anybody to massage. Ardha Chandrasana. Half moon pose. You can see how that toe has to be stretched, how this leg has to be stretched. Each one has to be thought of carefully. You know, I laugh for myself that in the presentation of art, all the artists have found way to get a firm instrument to play, to grip, to hold. They have kept 50 pounds of weight. The carpet is about 300 pounds weight. And still it moves when I'm moving. That's why I laughed. There is a gripper at the bottom. And still, in my movement, even that carpet is getting life. They say it's a dead carpet, but when I'm presenting, it also gets life. Virabhadrasana C. I am purposely explaining less because of the majority of the students have done yoga, so I am not doing as an artist performer, but also as a teacher, so that those who are pupils can see how it has to be done, and those who have not seen the elegance, the grace and beauty of presentation of the pose. You can see the harmony and balance, as I say. Pashvattanasana. As we do namaskar, the same way we do the salutations from behind. Because the back portion is the unconscious body. The front is the visible body. Through eyes, we can see the entire front body. Only the back body can be felt, cannot be seen. So in certain movements, when we move the hands back, it's not just only folding, but feeling the back. So feeling the back is drawing the energy, drawing the intelligence and the organs of perceptions inwards. Backwards means inwards. So that is known as according to yoga, pratyahara. Drawing the energy or the intelligence inwards so that they are cut off from the external observations, from the visual observation. So the front body becomes the conscious body, the back body becomes the unconscious body. In these performances, how to change the conscious into unconscious and unconscious into conscious. Then the balance of consciousness will be known. Then there is no subconscious, there is no unconscious, there is no conscious. They all become one. That's how the asanas have to be done. That's the salutation. I have to see at the same time how this finger is behaving, how this finger is behaving, how the wrist is behaving, how the elbows are behaving. It has to be received. So receiving, when I am acting, when I am receiving, I am meditating in that pose. So action and reflection, when they go together, that is spiritual practice. If they are not brought together, then yoga becomes a physical exercise, but not at all a spiritual exercise. And to unite the physical body and the spiritual body, there is something inside which is known as the physiological and the mental body. So if these internal body and the outer body has two bridges, the mind, the intelligence. If we use these two bridges very carefully, then the word used is kaivalya. Aloneness, not loneliness, but aloneness in each individual self. So when each self can individually work, the self is free from the contact of the self. So mind and brain with this self has found freedom. Prasadita Padottanasana. These are the standing poses. In order to keep the fluid of the brain evenly on the four lobes of the brain, we should also have to learn to stand properly on the four lobes of our feet. If we stand like this, say the foot is disturbed, the fluid in the cerebrum also is disturbed. If I stand straight, the energy of the brain where it was overstretched is moved back, so it is balanced. So four lobes of the brain, if you know how to stand, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a frontal brain, there's a back brain. There's a back portion of the lobes of the brain, there's a front portion of the lobes of the brain. So from the feet, you have to learn to balance the brain. Then you know that there is no aggressiveness, there is no non-violence, there is no violence. When non-violence and violence meet together, that is yoga. Vitarka bhadane pratipaksha bhavanam. Somewhere he says Patanjali. If there is a pain on your right side, while doing yoga, analyze the right side. Not the theoretical meaning. If you are angry, think of non-anger. That some others who have given the meaning, but I don't think it is Patanjali. Bhadana means pain. Nothing to do with anger.
So when there is a certain pain in a certain part, when there is no pain on the other part, analyze the part which has no pain, analyze the part which has pain. And in that analysis, how do you analyze? Do the movement several times, how the pain came. Do again to find out how the pain did not come. Vitarkabhadana, exchange that. Pratipaksha, exchange that. The feeling of this side, exchange. If the good feeling is here, you exchange that good feeling onto that side, the bad feeling disappears. That is how the Patanjali's meaning as far as I think, but not of the commentators. So when we are doing the process, we have to observe. For example, I saw a certain gentleman this evening who did yoga and had a little injury on his wrist in the same namaskar. So it may be the fault of the teacher, it may be the fault of the people, it may be the fault of both. So when we are doing, if you do not know exactly how to move, if this hand is strong, if this hand is weak, you go like that. What happened to that wrist? This does not curve, this curves because there is a range. There is no range for it to adjust. So as there is no range, it has to give room. So that's why, while practicing, one has to very carefully, not only the people, but also the teacher should be very, very careful. So you have to, that is known as balance. Let me observe in which way this wrist has curved, in which way this wrist has curved. Why this wrist has more mobility, why this wrist has no mobility. While doing alone, you have to observe. Not doing, I'm working very hard, as I heard in this convention. So each movement has to be very carefully thought of, shifting the wrong to the right to the wrong. Then there is no himsa, there is no ahimsa. There is no aggression, there is what you call covetousness. Patanjali says, don't covet. If you stretch too strong on one side, is covetousness, is it not? Greedy, is it not? And you have neglected the other side. So if you shift, the wealth is distributed to the other side, there is no covetousness. And if you observe that, both sides of the self speaks the truth at that time. Otherwise, one speaks the truth, one speaks the untruth, because one is strong. So when everything is put together, in the presentation of the asana, you experience that oneness which is known as brahmacharya, not celibacy. Because you forget your body, you forget your mind. Where are you? You are with your soul. So that is the ethical practice of the asana. Not that I have to practice non-violence, I have to speak the truth, leave it to the other people. But for you people, this practical thing should be known when we are doing, how it should be adapted in our presentations, in our practices, in our way of life. So unless and until the standing poses are not well performed, we have already put a seed of imbalance in the nervous system, in the circulatory system, nervous system, digestive system, it goes on. Paschimottanasana. You know the dog, when the dog stretches its chest, how it protrudes. So that's why it's called dog pose. Adhomukashvana. Paschimottanasana. Paschima means the west. The posterior portion is the west, anterior portion is the east, the bottom foot is the south, this is the north. So when we say do Paschimottanasana, many of you bang your head. So what happened on account of that? The posterior pole went to the east. So from the back of the hip, without disturbing any portion of your body, you have to move the west towards the east or the south. Can you see now? Front body is the east. So you have to move the back body to reach the east, the front. Then after staying, I have to feel the yama and niyama. Niyama means, you know, in San Francisco, I've gone on a car. There are several divisions in the road. 3, 4 on that side, 3, 4 on this side. If the traffic is more, they close 2 sides and open 4 sides. So if the traffic on the reverse, they increase if the traffic is more, they are allowed to move more that side and close where the traffic is less. Similarly, these are all avenues in our system. When you do the Paschimottanasana, without you look there and you drop your legs, it has dropped down. So a car coming from here, a car going there is the accident. Similarly, in our system, you let go. So the nerves which go from here, the nerves which go from here, crisscross elsewhere and they fit each other. And that is known as nervous breakdown or cracking of the tendon, tearing of the muscle, tearing of the nerves, tearing of the ligament, which you all hear commonly. So if you keep it that white line throughout, you are not going to face any accident. If the other man hits, it's not your fault. So similarly, each part, this is one avenue, this is another one, so we have got 10 avenues, can you see now? So my energy, which is nothing but an automobile, has to move very carefully in all these 10 toes. That is how the asanas have to be done. Jhana Shirashasana. Jhana means the thigh, jhana means the knee. Shirsha means the top. So the quadriceps muscle facing that way. So this becomes the head of the thigh. This becomes the head of the knee. As such, we have to very carefully stretch that leg, holding it, we have to move forward. What is aggression? What is anger in this self? You have all heard people saying Mr. Anger is a very wild, angry man. Now, those who speak of me, they may be very gentle in their faces. But where their aggressiveness is, I will show you. Now we can see. They raise their body. So the anger is here. They may not be here. So you have to pacify that also. As we have to pacify here, we have to pacify the physical anger too. It is a mental anger. What about the physical anger? So when I am doing it, that is why the shirsha, the knee, has to be kept downward, can you see now, so that it may not come out. So it is kept controlled, nullified. That is the overextension. Overextension is anger in other language. Hyperextension is anger. What is anger? You get wild, is it not? Hypertension in your face, in your temples, in your eyes. So that's known as hyperextension is anger. So you have to stop that hyperextension in the system so that you get that. Parivartita Jhana Shirashasana. Now you can see how I move the lower portion of the body in order to turn more. This is seed, this is fruit. So what we do, we close the seed, we break. So I say no. In order to move the part, I have to move the whole. So I come deep inside. In the depth, I turn. Parivartita Jhana Shirashasana. I'm not doing with jumping purposely so that you can catch the asanas more. The final process. Ardha variations in Paschimottanasana. I saw in the class. They start like that. As the head goes down, the leg is going. That is known as one car is moving this way, other car is going the other way. Or the front wheel on one side, back wheel on the other side. So the machine is down. So as I'm moving it, my attention should be here. As I'm moving this, if my eyes are here, in which direction my eye is moving, these muscles also have to move in the same direction. Then I know I'm doing well. This if I do, where is the direction? Attaining Yoga Anushasanam. The very first sutra is each individual conduct has to be studied very carefully, they say. It's a science of conduct. Yoga is a science of conduct. It's not only the conduct here, but also here. In which direction it has to move, in which direction it has to move. So you hold your leg, you see your toe, leg is straight, you go down. I said you touch the knee, say what happened to the leg? So conduct is broken. So Anushasana means the conduct. So each one has to observe those things. So both, I'm showing one side, so you can understand very well. Some of you move like this. The more you want to do it, you go backwards. So what happened to the waist? Tilted. So you have to observe. When I'm stretching, you have to observe the length from here to here, length from here to here. So when I bend it, am I keeping that length or not? Can I say now? You should be evenly flexed. So if there is no evenness, that means unevenness means what you know. You get a bump in the car. So bump in the nervous system, bump in the circulation. So tremendous attention has to be given. That's why when I'm doing the asana, I should be an introvert. Body is an extrovert, intelligence is an introvert. So if you can use these two machines, then you know the right method of practice. As I'm moving, I have to be careful here. If I move, they go back. See how I stretch forward, using this, anchoring this toe, how I stretch forward. I flex more and more, can you see now? So that means my attention is not lost here, my attention is not lost here. That is known as single state of attention. I'm doing